Good morning, friends. It's Lindsay Curry. I'm back today with part 2 of the virtual writing workshop on writing spooky. I was so happy earlier this week, guys, because I got so many really nice messages from young readers and writers and educators around the country who are using this writing workshop right now, especially when times are so chaotic. And I know most of us aren't living our daily routine like we normally would. And so if you're out of school or if your students are out of school and you're relying on this, thank you. I'm really glad that this is helpful. I'm going to try very hard to keep it up, starting with posting every couple of days something new. I'll work through the writing workshop, I'll continue giving writing prompts, and then we will move into something else and get even more creative. So onward and upward. I want you guys to notice, starting out today, I've done the exact same thing I did before. I have set up my little writing area in a comfortable way. And the reason I'm calling this to your attention, guys, is because it's something I want you to start thinking about. When I surround myself with things that I feel are calming and comforting, I feel like it also calms my mind. And when my mind is calm, I can focus better. So if I'm surrounded by clutter and chaos, often I have a very difficult time focusing and getting things done. And so any way that you can help your brain to focus better is a great idea. So I have my candle going because, again, that smell of cinnamon really does make me feel good and comforted. And today I have an extra special addition to my calming ritual or my writing routine, and that's this sweatshirt. Now, in a minute, you're going to see why you've never seen me in this sweatshirt on video and why I really don't wear it outside, because I get some extremely strange looks when I wear it, but it is comfortable, it is cozy, and it reminds me of one of my favorite places in the world. Are you ready? Here we go. Boom. This is my Stitch sweatshirt. And I know this thing is so silly, and it has these crazy big floppy ears. And look at my big teeth up here. But this sweatshirt also puts me in a good mood, and being in a good mood is a big part of writing for me. So I want you all to start thinking about creating your own writing rituals or writing routine. What feels good to you? What makes you feel like you can focus? And don't be worried about what it looks like or seems like to other people, because we all have different things that work for us, okay? Let us dig in. Today, part 2 is focused on using all 5 senses for your spooky story. If you want to print off a hard copy before we get started, go ahead and pause the video. Go to my website, lindsaycurry.com, go to the Spooky 101 tab, and go to the second part, which will be titled Using All 5 Senses for Your Spooky Story. Go ahead and print it. And guys, if that's a hassle, you don't need to do that. I'm going to be reading most of this aloud today, so I would say at the minimum, maybe grab a piece of paper and a pencil or your laptop or your iPad or whatever you feel comfortable writing on, because I might ask you to write a few things down today, but even that is not necessary. So I want you guys to just enjoy and do what feels good today, okay? All right, so let's start today by talking about books that make us feel like we're in the action. And what do I mean by that? I mean books that are written so vividly that you can close your eyes after certain passages and feel like you are there with the characters. So for me, I can think of a bunch of these because there are a lot of authors that just have the gift and the ability to write so vividly. But I know for me personally, I could pick any book at all in the Harry Potter series, and I feel that way about it. There are so many scenes, the majority of those books, I literally can close my eyes and feel like I am there with Harry and Ron and Hermione. And for that reason, that's one of my favorite series. I don't know if you guys can see, I'm even wearing my little Harry Potter lightning bolts today for my earrings. So maybe some of you guys feel the same way about that series. Maybe it's a different book. Although you can't leave me comments in these videos because of YouTube's new settings, you can certainly email me your book list. I would love to hear what you've read that you feel that way about, because if I haven't read it, I'm gonna add it to my to be read pile. So how do those authors do that? How do we write scenes that take you on the adventure with us? Well, for me, it's focusing on the 5 senses. I think much of the time when we're writing, we rely on one of our five senses way more than the others. It's the same one we rely on in day-to-day life more than the others. What do you think it is? It's our sight. I mean, really, our sense of sight is extremely powerful, and it makes sense that it's what we would rely on day to day and what we would kind of use as a crutch when we're writing. But the danger comes in, friends, when we forget that we have other senses, right? Because if you are writing scenes in your book and you are not including your senses of taste, touch, smell, and sounds, you're really not creating that vivid picture we want to create for our reader. So let's start practicing that, because as with everything in writing, I really feel like these things are not necessarily just a gift that you're born with. It's something you have to practice. You have to work at it to get good at it. So I have some exercises here. I'm going to show you a picture. If you have it up on your computer, if you have your printed copy of this, go to page 2. Take a look at this. Spooky. This is a mausoleum located in Graceland Cemetery. Graceland is not too far from my house, and it plays a critical role in the peculiar incident on Shady Street, and it makes a little cameo in Scritch Scratch, which comes out in September as well. I thought using this would be a great idea, this particular picture, because since we're talking about writing spooky, we're going to start with a spooky picture. But I want you to keep in mind that using all 5 of your senses is something that you want to do for any kind of writing, not just spooky, okay? So if I were to hold this picture up to the camera here in a minute and let you guys take a look for a second, what I want you to do is start writing down, or at least thinking about things that you observe when you look at it. What do you notice about the picture? I'll tell you what I noticed first. Obviously, the building in the center, the mausoleum, it's very aged looking. It's kind of ominous, right? It looks, it almost looks burned, but it's. I don't believe it is, because I think that Graceland Cemetery is pretty far away from where the Great Chicago Fire actually struck in the city. I noticed that big tree looming up in the background. It kind of looks like a claw rising up behind that mausoleum. I notice a gray sky. And even though there's a filter on this picture, the sky was gray the day that I took it. What are you guys noticing? Write a few observations down. And then let's use those observations to draw some conclusions, because even though we're not standing in front of this mausoleum, I think we can come up with enough conclusions about what it would feel like and sound like and smell like to be standing in front of this mausoleum to write a vivid scene. So starting with that tree in the background I mentioned to you, what do you notice about it? Does it have leaves? Looks pretty bare. There's some leaves on some of the trees in the background, but that tree, that main tree, is a very good indicator of something. It's an indicator of season. Now, you don't know from looking at this picture necessarily if it's spring or if it's fall, maybe late fall when all the leaves have fallen off, or spring when they just haven't grown in yet. But I can tell you, because I was there, that this picture was taken in October. So it's fall. It's fall in Chicago. So what do we think it would feel like to be here at this time? Do you think it would be warm and cozy in this cemetery? It was chilly. It was very chilly. And there was no sun. It was overcast. And the darkening of clouds in the background there are representative of the fact that a storm was coming. There were some rumbles of thunder and the wind was picking up a bit. And if you guys have ever been outside when it's about to rain, I think perhaps you have noticed that something happens to the air. It sometimes smells different. You've smelled rain on the air before, right? Like it's something that it's a very distinct smell. You know rain is coming, or maybe it's raining somewhere nearby and it just hasn't reached you yet. Sometimes something happens to the temperature too. It may drop suddenly and feel a lot chillier. All of these are kind of setting off warning bells, right, in our bodies that maybe we need to get inside. Maybe we need to take cover because it's going to start storming. These are all things that you can use to your advantage when you're writing spooky scenes. And I want to show you how I used a lot of these to my advantage when I wrote a scene that took place right here in Graceland. So let's turn to the 3rd page. want you guys to see this box right here. I'm gonna read this aloud, okay? This is from Peculiar Incident. Bonus points to anyone who finds what page this is on and emails me with it. That's kind of a fun little challenge. If you have the Peculiar Incident on Shady Street and you find this, this particular passage, email me the page number. Orange leaves rain down, then plaster themselves to the wet pavement. The partially bare tree limbs rattle against each other in the wind, making me think of bones. All the bones tucked down in the soggy earth around us. I hold my breath as another stiff breeze howls across the stretch of headstones, bringing with it the smell of burning wood, a fireplace. So here's our first writing challenge. I would love for you guys to take this passage and highlight or circle any of the 5 senses that you see represented. Hint, there are 4 represented in here. The only sense I did not use in the graveyard that day was my sense of taste. Really can't think of anything I would have been comfortable tasting in the graveyard. So I want you guys to do that if you have a hard copy. If you have a way to take a picture of it or scan it to me, I would love to see what you circle and what sense you feel that represents in this passage. And like I said in my previous video, if you send me something from this writing workshop, I promise I'll respond. Now it's your turn, guys. Now we're going to give you some writing prompts and let you practice doing what we just did with this picture. Remember, with writing, you don't always have to be in that spot. You can use your powers of observation to make some decisions about what it would feel like to be in that spot. Especially right now, when many of us are stuck indoors, and we may be indoors for a little bit, our observation and our imagination and relying on previous experiences is more important now than ever to our writing. So why don't you dig in and start practicing? Here are the pictures I'm going to show you. These are the prompts. Of course, guys, you could use your own. If you have another picture you'd like to use, totally fine. I'm giving you 3. 2 of them I think are inherently less spooky, and one of them is more spooky. But keep in mind, no matter what the picture looks like to me, you may see it and see a spooky potential in it that I don't. You may choose to write any of these spooky. You may choose to write them not spooky. It's all fine. Our goal is to work on our writing of really vivid scenes and bringing our reader in with us. And it doesn't matter to me if you write it spooky or not. So here we go. Here are the 3. Here's the top picture. This is Chicago. This is the nature boardwalk, actually, just south of the Lincoln Park Zoo. This was a really bright, beautiful, sunny day. I love all the wildflowers, and I thought this was a good one to use. Second picture, I'm just gonna move my candle so I don't set myself on fire, is this one right here. This is sunset over the ocean in Captiva Island, Florida. I really love the colors in this picture. I love how still the water is. And I think there's a lot that you can do with sense and sense of touch and the smell and everything with this picture. So it's a good one to pick. And then I have one more from Graceland. I don't know if you guys can see very well, but this is a headless statue. He's a bit spooky. I pass him all the time when I'm doing research. And this one time I just snapped a picture and I thought, okay, there's a story there. There's a story everywhere. We just have to find it and find the way that we want to write it and what we want our reader to get out of it. Okay, friends, take a shot at it this week, all right? Let's see if you can write a paragraph or 2 or even a short story if you're feeling very motivated about one of those pictures, using your senses as much as possible. If you have time to do this and you want to send it to me, I would love to see it and read it and give you a little feedback on it. My email is lindsaynncurry@gmail.com, or you can email me at the Scritch Scratch email, which is scritchscratchbook@gmail.com. That one might be a little easier to remember. And the next time I upload a video, we'll be focusing on the 3rd part of our writing workshop, and there's even more prompts coming your way. So I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you're having a good week. I hope you're still smiling despite the strange circumstances out there, because we're all gonna be just fine. We're gonna get through this together. I'll talk to you guys all again soon. Bye.